Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, college football fans across the nation and around the world. This is Tim May with the Tim May Show, featuring Clay Hall. Clay, how you doing on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon as we record this?
It's National Signing Day, which is exciting. I used to be one of those recruiting beatniks, junkies that, I even published
That's okay.
Even published a newsletter at one point in a different region of the country. I was just always intrigued by who got who and how they did it.
Yep, putting football classes together, putting football teams together has always intrigued me. You know who else it intrigued?
Tell me.
For the longest time, and instead of becoming a doctor or something, he decided to get into the business. Is Mark Pantoni, general manager now of Ohio State, but basically AKA recruiting coordinator extraordinaire. But now, obviously, his role as general manager, he not only helps pinpoint who they're going after, the Buckeyes are, but then after they show up, what their revenue share cut will be, helps forward them into the NIL world, et cetera. Takes care, like he said, as he was in front of us today, you pinpoint guys you're going after, and then you talk to their agents. That's interesting to hear a college football associated person talk about talking with agents before a player even shows up at Ohio State.
I've heard him say upon occasion, I'm not as popular as I used to be around.
Well, that's what I had him. I had him on my I'm going to run that video one of these days, just an extended video of how he got into the business and stuff, how Urban Meyer kind of opened the door for him in Florida. And then, of course, Urban, that was one of the first guys he brought. He and Mickey Marotti, man. They were 1-2 or 2-1 on the must-get list after Urban took over in 2012 at Ohio State. Had to have those guys. Thought they were both the best in their field, and it's proven to be that way. But of course, Ohio State's right now got the 5th or 6th best team in the recruiting class in the country, based on where you look and who they rank. As we record this, I don't think Ohio State has stamped Chris Henry as being part of the class yet, because you have to wait until the guys, their paperwork, their facsimiles are all faxed in, so to speak, or emailed in. And I think the expectation was they were going to get him, but there were still conversations going on this Wednesday morning with Chris Henry after watching the Dixon Wyatt kid flip his commitment in the last 3 days from Ohio State to Southern California. Southern Cal's trying to do the same thing with Chris Henry.
Yeah, I mean,
talented.
He's played
big time wide receiver.
Well, he takes Carnell's spot right tomorrow. But he's played his last 2 seasons. If I am incorrect here, correct me. His last 2 seasons in California at Mater Dei, and so now Southern Cal is certainly on the scent.
Yep,
we'll see what happens, because he on most I'm on 247 here. He is simply a commit and not a signee quite yet. But by the time this sucker's over, it might become official.
Anybody can get commitments.
Yeah, right.
Holding them and signing them is the key. I'm paraphrasing Jerry Seinfeld when he had his problem with his rental car situation. But
you got to close.
But the bottom line is, it's a big day too. I mean, shoot, I really, like you talked about earlier, I buried the lead here. Brian Hartline has been named the next head coach at University of South Florida, a program where if you're pretty good, you can go places in the coaching realm. But you start, it's a pretty decent start for a guy who's never been a head coach before to be a head coach for the first time. And congratulations to Brian Hartline. We've both known him since he was like 16, 17 years old, or at least I have, and played at Ohio State. And then he went on to the National Football League and played 8 years there,
8 or 9
in one form or fashion, especially so much with the Miami Dolphins. So he has a name down there in Florida, South Florida, even though the University of South Florida is actually in Tampa. And the University of South Florida is actually in the north part of Tampa. But congratulations to him, man.
Yeah.
I think he really blossomed this year after being named. Well, he was already a co-offensive coordinator. Remember, he was named offensive coordinator in 2023. And then Ryan Day stepped back in to call plays 2024, Chip Kelly was in for his one Haley's Comet fly across the sky with Ohio State, and then went on to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now he's free agent again because he got fired by Las Vegas this past week, and we'll see if he shows back up at Ohio State. But Brian Hartline, obviously, one of our favorite people, definitely one of my favorite people. There he is talking to you on the screen. They're talking to you during preseason, but always a pleasant guy. But the great thing about him is Brian also does not suffer fools very easily, if you follow my drift. And because he's called me out on a few questions that were like, I don't know,
to me,
odd. I guess is the best way of putting it. But I've always liked Brian Hartline, and there's no doubt about the reputation he's built as the wide receiver whisperer, and now going to South Florida as the head coach. We'll see if he's a full team whisperer.
Yeah, he's got a little. To me, he has an edge to him, and that's what makes him. He's about business, man. He has a little Vrabel in him, to me. And I think that will serve him well as a head coach because you're exactly right. He does not play around. You got something to say it. Because he's not going to do a lot of small talk. Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like, how do I say this? He seems so much younger than he actually is too. He's
almost 40.
Yeah.
He's 39.
Exactly. And
you think he seems younger?
No, he looks and seems younger.
Right.
And it's really funny. I think he'll go over well down there in terms of relating to young kids. Now, the culture shock for anybody leaving Ohio State and becoming a head coach is you're not going to be walking into the same talent pool that you're leaving. You're going to work hard to get a talent pool that can win, or like South Florida did win. Gulish, the kid from a young kid, he's a young man from Olentangy, who was the head coach there, the last 3 years. Yeah. And now he got named to the Auburn head coaching job. Big step up from South Florida, but only because he did a hell of a job at South Florida. But you want to be competitive in the pool you're swimming in. South Florida is definitely that, right?
Yeah, and Golish won, I think, 23 games in 3 years. The other thing that is so, I think, he assimilates so well, does Hartline, because he has so many frequent flyer miles. He has recruited that state like an alligator after some prey, man.
Yeah.
That cat, he's been all over that state. So he knows where the high schools are. He knows where, I think he's going to do well. I see that as a launching pad in 2, 3, 4 years time. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get real comfortable and happy there. And
there was word he was going to be in on the Kentucky job. But,
I saw that.
But Kentucky filled that with Will Klein pretty quickly. And, obviously everybody has to have a fallback. And with Brian, this USF job didn't come open until Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, Ron Day said, this just happened in the last day.
Right. But Auburn stepped up and hired him because, all the dominoes started falling after Lane Kiffin officially took the LSU job. But good for Golish. I think Golish is walking into a good situation there, man. If he's got his act together.
Great defense there.
Yeah. Well, I'm just talking about the program. It's won a national championship in the last 20 years, so the good things can happen for you if you have your act together and you can put up with Auburn backers, because believe me, they're a different breed, including my cousin Doug, who I always refer to, and when I've been on the Paul Feinbaum show, I want to give a shout out to my cousin Doug Mathis. But Auburn backers are a different breed. I'll never forget when his mom introduced her fiance, Perry Mathis, to us family in 1962, 63. I can't remember the exact year. And I was still a little kid then, 9 years old. And she goes, he just graduated from Auburn, and we booed because my grandma and grandpa from my dad's side of the family lived about 6 blocks from from then Denny Stadium. and they went to the church right across the street from Denny Stadium, where Bear Bryant was holding sway. But I digress. I mean, it's rivalries are all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of the great ones. But we'll see if he can get things turned around in that game. But back to what we're talking about, let's kind of hear what Ryan Day had to say a little bit about Brian Hartline and getting this job, et cetera.
Ron, with Ryan moving to South Florida, is the intention that he will stay with the staff through the postseason? And do you have any immediate thoughts on how you might address this departure staff-wise?
Yeah, so we'll do a quick team meeting here and kind of let the team know. He was able to let the wide receivers know and the recruits know, and I'm really happy for him and his family. The fact that he gets an opportunity to do this. He's put a lot of hard work here at Ohio State as a player and now as a coach, and so that's part of the profession. And that's as a head coach, it's gratifying to see one of your assistants get one of these opportunities. And I think he's going to do great. I think it's a great opportunity for him, and looking forward to see how he does. And so that's exciting for him. The timing isn't great, but that's not Brian's fault. That's other people's fault. And hopefully we can get some of this stuff addressed, because it's but it's like that for everybody in the country. So instead of being upset about it, we're going to embrace it, and I'll let the team know today. Obviously we'll read it today, but it's good to hear from me. But yeah, the plan is for him to continue to be with the team, which is a challenge for him, but that speaks to his character, that he wants to make sure he finishes this thing out the right way. We're certainly right now, I'm not going to be long in here because we got to focus on Indiana, making sure we're ready situationally, have a great practice, and go play this game on Saturday. And then, over that next month, we'll figure out what that cadence looks like. But he wants to be with us all the way through, all the way to the end, and see this thing out during the season. So.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Unlike Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. Well, there are degrees of loss at this point in the year. And right. I would think a team losing its head coach, which is what Ole Miss is dealing with, and Ole Miss ironically went up one spot in the college football playoff rankings by the committee, even though they just lost their head coach. Maybe they think he'll be.
What does that mean?
I don't know what it means. I don't know if the committee's giving him a slap on the butt on the way out. But yeah, good for Brian Hartline. And we saw this before, like you said, when Tom Herman got the head coaching job, his first head coaching job in 2014, right after Ohio State finished, I think after it beat Wisconsin in the might have been before that. No, it was after that. After they beat Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, he was named the head coach for the first time at University of Houston, and he was able to make it work because they beat Ohio State, went on to beat Alabama, and then beat Oregon with the Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Mariota, beat both of them to win the 2014 national championship under Urban Meyer. So there are all kinds of people can put all kinds of oars in the water as this goes. When we'll see, like we said a while ago, we'll see if Brian opts to, or if even thinking about this, of after this weekend, perhaps bringing Chip Kelly back as some kind of advisor or something, because as we all know, he's now a free agent again, having gotten fired from the offensive coordinator job with the Las Vegas Raiders after just 10 games or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were weird stories, and I'm not going to give them any credence that, it wasn't all the things weren't just, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
If he comes here, we'll see how he does and move on. He was incredibly valuable. En route to the title.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. So we'll see where that goes. But, this offense moved on very well without him. Let's put it that way. And under Brian Hartline's guidance, and, of course, Ryan Day could call plays in a Final Jeopardy situation with anybody. He'd be in that threesome. So they can definitely move on. And what a strange time, though, man. You got coaches going. Now it's struck Ohio State again. I mean, Ohio State has to expect that. People trying to get a little sprout from that tree that Urban Meyer and all these guys have built. Now Ryan Day has taken over and I think made it bigger and more bloomier, for one of the term. They want to bloom off that tree. Yeah. South Florida does to keep their program going and maybe bloom even higher. And so you got to expect that. You got to expect that. Remember that book he had the team read, chopping wood, carrying water. You got to expect people to come in chopping wood in your forest to get some of that wood and make it maybe make their forest a little bit better. We'll see how that goes. But like we said, and by the way, we're going to have some talk about the Ohio State-Indiana game coming up, including a little soundbite with Curt Cignetti, the head coach at Indiana, who in the last 2 years has done the greatest job of coaching in the country, no doubt about it. And we'll get some word from him on, for example, that loss they had to Ohio State last year. As tough as it was, boy, you sure do learn a lot of things when you go through the grist mill. And they went through the grist mill, and now they're undefeated.
Likewise, 12-0.
The first 12-0 team in Indiana football history, and looking to make it 13-0 on Saturday night at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. So we'll get to that in a minute. But let's get to some more sound here about this is National Signing Day, or the start of the national signing period. So
it's another ball in the air.
Yes. As we get into this, signing day, obviously one of the guys Ryan Day couldn't talk about, neither could Mark Pantoni. He was also available to the media. Couldn't talk about during our brief encounter on Wednesday morning, or midday Wednesday, was Chris Henry, because Chris Henry, the talented wide receiver out of Southern California, who was still expected to sign with Ohio State, as we sit here and record this, hasn't signed. And not only that, but once you read the tweet he put out just about 3 minutes ago as we record this, Clay,
per the 6'5" wide receiver, I have not signed yet. Still trying to weigh my options due to coaching changes. Just want to make sure I make the right decision for my future. New paragraph, God's plan.
Yeah, and by the way, in his in his Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, Elon Musk is taking a poll right now whether everybody wants to switch the name back to Twitter, because that's what everybody calls it, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, but the bottom line is
call Elon, will you?
He calls one of the things he used to describe himself is, it says professional athlete. I think that sums it up. Number one. Number two, this guy's a hell of a player.
He is.
If USC flips him, good for them. But Ohio State definitely wants him. Like you said, he would be he would be very, very similar to Jeremiah Smith last season as a plug-and-play performer, based on what I've seen of him from his video streams and streams of video highlights.
I saw him at a Buckeye football camp 2 years ago, and Brian Hartline was just constantly sort of in his ear. I mean, it was obviously forming a good relationship, et cetera. But he was head and shoulders. Well, he's 6'5", but it was very easy to see the talent and the ease at which he moved down the field.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be unbelievable if he went to South Florida? No, I'm just joking.
That's what
I threw that out there just for the fun of it. That was a fun thing. I don't see that happening.
Well,
USC's had some pretty good under Lincoln Riley's had some pretty good success developing receivers, et cetera, including a guy who's one of the finalists for the Butkus Award, the Bolitnikoff Award this year. What's his name? Makai Lemon. So we'll see where that goes. It definitely, I don't think it's going to be sorted out necessarily today. We'll see. But anyway, just generally, this is
that's breaking news, man.
Oh yeah, but I mean, we're not. This is a podcast, so
I know
people may be listening to this 3 weeks from now.
Well,
but
let's hope not.
But as we sit here and speak, it's breaking news. I know it's titillating news for sure, right?
Yeah, it got my attention.
Of course it did. But remember when Ryan Day got the high sign during the signing day 2 years ago? This time. That Jeremiah Smith had agreed to terms for one of another term, and he almost fainted at the podium. His knees buckled.
It was
a get. You gotta, Woody Hayes. You win with people, and if you win with people, that means you got to get people. You got to get people that can help you win. And then sometimes, when all else fails, they do it anyway. They make it happen, just like a 3-point shooter, man, in basketball. You got to have that sniper.
He did. I mean, that dude could have been an actor. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tremendous. I don't know what you call that. But
yeah.
Anyway.
reaction.
Levity is what it was.
Yeah.
At the time.
But anyway, let's get to what Ryan kind of had to say in a roundabout way about this class.
A lot of moving parts still, but the guys that are in the class.
Jeremy Birmingham asked that question.
Sense of how this class came together. It seems like the last 2 months specifically for the whirlwind and adding 10 different commitments and now most of them in. But where are you at with where it's at, and what do you still want to see addressed? Obviously, guys that are not signed on the weekend.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, I felt like from the beginning on this that what we needed to do was, be really thorough in our evaluations and make sure that they were the right fit for our program, with everything considering where we are in college football and the investment that everybody's making in these young men. And so the first thing we look at certainly is their ability, their talent, their character, their family, academically, their mindset. There's all these things we take into consideration. And this is a very talented group of young men. When you look at a lot of the positions, we have to address every position. Obviously up front is critical, and I think we've done a really good job there. I think Larry really finished strong here and really addressed some areas. I think Tyler did an excellent job up front. And that was important. But just across the board, I think the secondary, you look at some of the guys that we're bringing in, I mean, very, very talented. And so when, we looked at it even last spring, I think after the spring visits, that's always been sort of a time when a lot of guys have committed when they started to go with the official visits in the spring. And that's an important time, but we really wanted to evaluate their senior years to make sure that we had the right guys. And I feel like we do. And it's not about the ones that you don't get, it's about the ones you do get. Make sure you have the right guys here. I think we've done that with this group. We're still, working through a few of these guys, but overall it's an excellent group. These guys care about Ohio State. You can tell from the jump with a lot of these guys, they've been committed for a long time, or the guys that have jumped in recently are just really excited about what we're doing and are here for the right reasons. So it's a great class. It is certainly unique to be doing this right now, getting ready to play in a game. So to say that all of our focus is on this right now, it's not. But that being said, it's a great day for these guys. And this is a point in their lives where it's one of those timeline moments, signing with Ohio State. And so, they're finishing high school careers, and a lot of guys are going to be here in the next month. And, being a dad and going through this with my son, man, I'm just happy for these families because it's a moment to, be thankful. Be thankful not only for the people that invested in these guys, but be thankful to be in this position, to have this opportunity to be a part of something special.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's always a big deal. I mean, we know how big a deal it is for our good buddy, Matt Wilhelm. His son, Mason Wilhelm, is one of those offensive linemen that Ryan Day has talked about. And these big, huge, looks like almost ready to play kind of guys that walk in. And what a class they have there, including Sam Greer and these other, fellas. But we know what a big deal it was for Matt Wilhelm because Ohio State evaluated his son, Mason, who was committed to North Carolina and Bill Belichick. And then in the last, 3 weeks, they offered and Mason
hopped on it.
He hopped on it. I mean, he wanted to be recruited, though, by Ohio State. He didn't want to be a legacy from Harrisburg, as you say in National Lampoon's Animal House. He wanted to be recruited. He was. But, they evaluated the hell out of him. And now he's part of this 2020 recruiting class. But there's some big-time players in this class. Jay Timmons, cornerback out of Pennsylvania. Ohio State got a flip today. Caden Gebhardt, highly respected
linebacker,
highly regarded safety out of, he was committed to Clemson. And now he's going to Ohio State. So, the flip it flips both ways.
Yeah, Ohio State went big. They have 8 players over 6'4", 250, and a lot of them at 280, 290, and beyond. This class includes, you mentioned Sam Greer's the number 2 player in the state. The number 1 is Sincere Johnson, who is a linebacker, 40th player nationally. You know, could he be Styles? Could he be Arvell Reese? He's got size, 6'3", 222. And they got 2 kids. You mentioned Caden Gebhardt. That completes 2 from the Olentangy area. James Laurinaitis closed well there with those 2 linebackers. The other, CJ Sana, and
Sincere Johnson.
Yeah, and Gebhardt apparently can play linebacker or safety. I've seen him listed as either. And a guy you mentioned in some other developments and reports, Favor Aki. I'm very curious about. I did not see this young man play from Delaware Hayes.
Oh, he's highly regarded. I mean,
6 foot 190.
Yeah, I mean, he can gain weight. That's one of the things he'll definitely be doing after he. I'm not sure if I think he's probably enrolling early. Actually, these days, this is the National Signing Day. The one in February is the cleanup day.
Right.
Or add some guys anymore, and then really it's more usual for guys to enroll early than not.
That's it.
So we'll see if he does, and
If
he'll definitely be on the weight train, so to speak. Yeah. But Ohio State also, they lost another flip. I mean, Legend Bay has flipped from he was basically a running back wide receiver type, has flipped in the wake of the Brian Hartline news, has flipped to Tennessee.
He did.
They were working on him hard though. Tennessee was right up to the gate. So all's fair in love and recruiting, baby.
Well, Ryan Day said it's not the ones you lose, it's the one you get.
Oh, yeah,
the ones you get.
Obviously.
And that happens every year. You never get them all.
Yeah.
I don't think, not even Ohio State. But if Chris Henry comes their way, I literally could see them bumping up perhaps a spot.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
He's obviously consensus 5-star.
Yeah, but all of the top 5 or 6 are seem to be finishing fairly strong, really strong for that matter.
Yeah.
I'm just
okay.
I'm just curious because I haven't put out a final list yet because all the names aren't in as we record this, which makes it kind of difficult. Made it kind of difficult because he had the press conference about signing day at noon, and we knew it wasn't going to be over by then. The class signing thing, but it is what it is, right? Because they got to get on with business. Yeah. The business is they're playing Indiana for the Big Ten championship on Saturday night in Lucas Oil Stadium, 8 p.m. and be Ohio State's first appearance in that game since 2020, the COVID year.
In a while. Which
was really interesting, but Trey Sermon had a night to remember. And then on top of that, it'll be Indiana's first appearance ever in the Big Ten championship game.
Who am I?
Curt Cignetti.
Dang right.
Don't make fun of Curt Cignetti, though.
I'm not making fun.
Google him, man. He's damn good.
Even Ryan says Google him.
Yeah, but we all know that Indiana lost 2 games last year to Ohio State,
one in the shoe,
and to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And as I remind people, the only 2 teams that Indiana's lost to in the last 2 seasons were the 2 teams that played for the national championship last year. Who else can say that?
Right.
They
got all the cred with me. I mean,
nobody can say that, by the way. Your answer was supposed to be nobody.
Oh, well, that's for damn sure.
Who's got it better than that? Nobody.
Oh, that's Jimmy Harbaugh.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Anyway, the Cowboys are going to take care of Jimmy Harbaugh down the stretch run. But it's incredibly anticipated football game. And for those who think Indiana is not up to it, you come on out on Saturday night. They'll show you. They got a big time quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. And Surratt's a hell of a wide receiver. He's been banged up of late, but hey, what starting wide receiver hasn't, right? They've all been bad. Yeah. I mean, and then defensively, boy, are they sound. Stout. Yeah, they line up. And now they've been scored on quite a bit more than Ohio State has defensively. Ohio State's got the number 1 defense in the country. Indiana's right up there in the upper echelon in terms of total offense and scoring, obviously. But
it's going to come down to which team is able to stop the other team more often, I think, more than anything else. But, Indiana under Curt Cignetti was rolling right along last year until the 11th game of the season. They came into Ohio Stadium. Would they catch Ohio State looking ahead to Michigan? And that was one of the questions.
Yeah,
and I'll give away the answer. Instead, I guess they caught Ohio State looking backward to Indiana. Michigan did, but the next week. But the bottom line is, Go ahead,
Cignetti, and maybe I don't want to upstage the soundbite.
Will go ahead.
No, maybe I'll just wait. But he thinks they've closed the gap in some ways with Ohio State.
I said the Indiana was going to be a better team this year than it was last year, and I was saying that back in late spring, early summer, because number one, Mendoza is a hell of a quarterback, better than was it Curtis Rourke,
right?
The kid for Ohio U, who was good, but he had his ceiling. We'll see if Fernando Mendoza has his ceiling, but he's led 3 big time victories for them. The one over Iowa, which was come from behind, the stomping they did of Oregon. Oregon. After
he threw the pick 6, he takes them down the field.
Right. He's kind of created his own comeback scenarios because he had big mistakes in the second half of the Oregon game. And then, of course, the big comeback and the miracle catch to back of the end zone to beat Penn State was a hell of a comeback. But like he kind of dug his own hole and filled the dirt back in. Fernando Mendoza did. But here's Curt Cignetti talking earlier this week just about what Indiana got out of playing that baptism against Ohio State last year, which, by the way, Ohio State, despite its fall the next week to Michigan, I'll remind people, went on the greatest postseason tear in college football history, winning 4 straight.
That's right.
To win the national championship in the first expanded 12-team national playoff. But let's see what Cignetti has to say about memories or whatever of that game, but what his team has kind of proven over this season.
Yeah, I think while that was not an enjoyable experience, it was an experience that was necessary for our growth and development, to go into a hostile environment like Ohio State and play a team of that quality. We got off to a decent start, but then after that, it was pretty much all Ohio State. And, we were able to add some key pieces to this year's team, some veterans that had played a lot of football, been in those environments. And I think the guys that returned, from last year's team learned a lot from Ohio State and Notre Dame, which helped us. So after, we were able to, when we played Illinois, they were 9 in the country, played them at home, played really well, won decisively, but then went to Iowa, a really difficult place to play. And I think very underrated football team. And that game went down to the wire, pulled it out at the end. Obviously, Oregon was 2 or 3 in the country at the time we played. They were playing as well as anybody in America. And that was a big moment. We had to prove we could go on the road and beat a team of that caliber. And, we played fairly well, and it was a good win. Even Penn State, I realized they were having a down year, but since Terry took over, they were playing with kind of a renewed energy, and they took control the second half when we failed to put them away when we had the opportunity and had all the momentum in the world, and to come back and win like that on a 2-minute drive was a great thing for, I think, our football team. So I think we've learned a lot since the last time we played. We respect Ohio State. I mean, they're a great football team. What they've done speaks for itself. And we understand that we're going to have to play really well Saturday night.
That's exactly right.
What do you think the fan split will be? I mean, these people have gotten on the bandwagon now, right?
Oh, they gotten on the bandwagon. Some of them are wearing their basketball clothes. I mean, because they don't have football clothes. I mean, if it has a chance to be 50-50, these games, the tickets are sold. The teams get a share of tickets, but the tickets are sold ahead of time.
The corporate.
Yeah, stuff. And the interesting thing is who's jumped on the aftermarket to buy tickets. I'm sure they're extremely expensive when you consider Indy, and I haven't looked at it. I kind of don't like playing up how much tickets are costing because you're just doing free ads for those ticket resellers. But I'm sure the tickets are up there.
I'm with you.
But then with Ohio State fans and even Indiana fans, they made the playoffs last year, but it only lasted one trip or one game against Notre Dame. But, I'm telling you, 3 or 4 years from now, people are going to be saying they're going to be nitpicking. They're going to go, okay, I'm going to save my money for the second round of the playoffs and put all my money in on going to that, or first round of the college football playoff. I remember back in 2014, Alabama fans did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they'd been in the playoffs so much. They didn't have as stout a crowd as they could have had at the Sugar Bowl. Ohio State ends up beating them, beating Alabama. So all these plans they had made to go to the national championship game, which was that year was in Dallas, a lot of refunds going on from the airline industry, maybe, or if they preloaded their cars with gasoline to make that drive across Interstate 20 from Alabama to Dallas.
But as Indiana makes its ascent, you think, yeah, they'll start, hey, we're going to make it.
Well, who knows? I mean,
we're a 10-win team now.
Exactly. So, but yeah, well, there's that funny video going around the Twitter X, whatever you want to call it, of these two guys and their little podcast talking about Ohio State. They can't stand the OHIO, and the one guy's asserting Ohio State has rarely been in the elite level or upper level of the nation, that they don't really know how to act and stuff. It's pretty damn funny. As in, wait a minute, you could just insert, instead of him saying OHIO, he could say him, just have another voice saying IU,
Right.
And also what he says about it, because clearly Indiana has become a football school. You agree?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I've always lived we lived in Indianapolis about 2 years, and I probably played basketball there every stinking night in the summer, and we'd have these games, and I went to Hinkle Fieldhouse, and so I became a little bit of a fan of the candy stripe warm-ups, et cetera, et cetera. So when they're on, I usually watch, and they got a coach. They've got a team this year, 7-footer who brings a lot of versatility. So anyway, they may gain some of that basketball rep back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. They're going to be prepared. They're going to be ready to play. Both of these teams are different than they were when they faced off last year in a lot of different ways. Like I said, I think Indiana has a quarterback. They don't mind putting the ball in his hands to make plays.
Make a play, yeah.
Yeah, and
they're both better.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Well, yeah, but they're both different too.
Sure.
They're both different than the two teams we saw square off last year. Ohio State's got more of a deliberate offense. We'll see if they get a little bit more free in terms of maybe trying to run about 10 more plays than they have been doing.
Right.
But they've been really good, and I think they've been really good in their selection. Matter of fact, I remember communicating with Brian Hartline after the game at Michigan on Saturday. That was as well called an offensive game by an Ohio State coach that I can remember. The diversity of it, the precision of it. And by the way, coming out of the gate saying, we've got Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and you don't, even though it cost them an interception.
I love that.
It's
one of your favorite lines.
Yeah. I talked to Ryan Day about that. I'll get that sound on Friday about how it uplifts the whole team when you've got both of those guys.
Well, I think
playing.
I think Michigan, they're like, wait a minute, 20 plays, almost 12 minutes. What are they doing? Yeah, they're taking over.
Yeah,
they're imposing their will. They're pinning a big L on your chest, sir.
I'm going to say this again though, and Ryan Day kind of didn't hint at it. He said it. I mean, that wasn't one of their great drives because they didn't score a touchdown. The thing is, we talk about imposing your will, the offensive line beating up on the defense, whatever. Well, the defense stiffened in the red zone. The defense stiffened and forced a field goal. So that's not exactly shoving them back into shoving them from Germany into Poland. I mean,
it was close.
Yeah, it was close, but they still didn't get that touchdown.
But they made it
the touchdown's the dagger. The touchdown is the true coup de grace.
But
And Ryan's right. No, Ryan said that. But I agree with him.
Yeah. Well, 3 was huge too, just to get points after eating that, that much clock when you're sitting on a.
My point is Michigan didn't just roll over. Michigan got shoved backwards.
They gave up a hell of a lot of first downs on that drive.
Right. They did 20 plays. You're going to give up, they gave up more first downs than maybe they even made all day themselves.
That's right.
I mean, Michigan only ran 44 offensive plays, 44 play.
Yeah. They got a lot of soul searching to do.
That's
up there. They're suddenly like, well, I mean, they're already on Sharon Moore.
Of course they are.
So
they'd won 4 in a row over Ohio State. And this year that was a chance for them to get into the playoff, and they had no offense. They have no defense for having no offense. They do have a decent defense, not a great defense, but but it was a pure team victory for Ohio State, including, like you said, all 3 phases. Jaden Fielding makes his field goals. The defense, after giving up a couple of scores at the beginning, but holding them to field goals, only gives up another field goal after that. And then of course the offense, Julian Sayin throws 3 touchdown passes. Speaking of Julian Sayin, speak of
him.
Fernando Mendoza, but mainly speaking of Julian Sayin and the Heisman Trophy race. All those big awards are going to be decided by vote when this weekend is over, including the Heisman. We'll see what kind of groundswell there is for Diego Pavia after they knocked off a so-so Tennessee team. And now, everybody in the SEC, there was a guy from the SEC yesterday on some show who was saying he thought it was Diego Pavia's to lose now.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm just going, okay. That's not the same polls I'm seeing. And by the way, I'm a Heisman voter.
Exactly.
Have been for 3 years.
And you're waiting through the weekend, right?
I'm waiting through the weekend, but I do know that in my mind, Julian Sayin and Fernando Mendoza are weighing heavily in the final analysis. Let's put it that way. They don't whittle.
No question.
They don't whittle the field down like the Biletnikoff Award, where I'll just say out loud, I do plan on voting for Jeremiah Smith as the number 1, but the kid from USC's had a hell of a year, man. Hell of a year too. And he's a really nice, great receiver. And then Carnell Tate, if Carnell Tate hadn't missed 3 games, they really took the bite out of it for him.
For sure.
But there's no doubt he's an elite wide receiver. But, Ryan Day was sort of asked about, this Mendoza in the sub story to the Big Ten championship game is that the Heisman Trophy may be decided that night too, with Mendoza going against Sayin. And it is, they are going against each other, even though they're not playing safety against each other on defense.
Right.
But it is when it's kind of like 2 pitchers, right?
Yeah.
You pitchers, let's say it's the designated hitter league, right? You don't hit, but you sure pitch. Yeah. And when you're pitching, are you throwing strikes? I mean,
can you go 8 1/3?
Yeah.
Can you get into the 9th inning?
Yeah. Both these guys, it's going to be a question. Can you give me a complete game? Can you get the team to the finish line and win the game? And, but just Ryan was asked kind of like what his take is on Julian Sayin's candidacy, but also the showdown for the Heisman. And, and he kind of took more of a political stance on the answer, only because he's more zeroed in on Saturday night.
That's it.
And, like I've told, Jerry Emick and Mike Bassford up there, the SIDs at Ohio State football SIDs, that, you let the candidates speak for themselves in the sense of what they do on the field. And Julian Sayin has had a season that's right up there with almost any of the greats in college football history in terms of production, accuracy of completion percentage, right on down the line. Now, has it been over the top numbers? No, but it's been damn good numbers.
And every time they list something of him, it always comes with the additional in FBS history.
Yes, exactly. So that means
he's in tall cotton.
That means you're wading around in a really nice pond. But let's just see kind of what Ryan had to say.
I don't know. It's a great award that's been around for a long time. I think there's probably an argument to be made somewhere along the line that, maybe they should wait to see how the whole season plays out before they decide. But that's not the way the tradition goes, and that's not what they do. So, they'll go through that process. And, I think the award should go to the best college football player in the country, not necessarily somebody who has the most stats. And that takes a skillful eye to be able to identify that. But I've been very fortunate. I went when I was young, when Ron Dane won it, and got a chance to the Downtown Athletic Club to go and experience what that was like. Drew Brees, I think, was one of the finalists at the time. And even as a young person, it was just such a great experience for me to meet people like Steve Spurrier and some of the former Hopalong Cassidy and some of the former guys who were there at the time. And I remember walking around with a football and having all these like football greats sign the football. And I went home and I had it in my room for such a long time. And now for me to go with some of our players is it's an honor. It's a great award. It has a great tradition. And so, fortunate to have some of our guys in the mix again this year.
Absolutely fortunate. I think he went there with Dwayne Haskins. I think he and Coach Meyer might have been there. And then
he was
a couple of
there
years ago with C.J. Stroud and Justin Fields.
I took off, Tim, on the, I said, I'm going. I felt like I just wanted to cover it for C.J. Stroud. Went with my stinking phone, no camera, no nothing. I said, I'm going to take the station car. I made him, I'll take the station car. You don't have to pay me. You don't have to do whatever.
Yeah.
And I got Stroud the day I, arrived. I got Ryan after the thing was over. I was nearly run over in Manhattan, in Times Square. But it was a great, anyway, it was good. And, I think the player looks like, oh, okay. I said, hey, I had to be here. So anyway, hopefully, they bring one home this time.
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times, especially when Eddie George won it in 1995. And that was when it was in the old, the ceremony was at the Downtown Athletic Club down there on the south end of Manhattan.
Yeah.
Down by the World Trade Center area, Wow. And I remember we were sitting there in the press room and media room and writing my story, and there was a little window in the wall. It was like a small little window, but like it was framed. Looking right out that window was the Statue of Liberty. I mean, it was kind of cool,
Yeah.
Now it's like a highfalutin affair.
It is
uptown and right on down the line, but it still matters. The great thing about it now is like you can't vote on it now because it's until the weekend. Until I can't remember exactly when the electronic voting opens. I think I may be wrong, 6 p.m. maybe Saturday, and closes at 6 p.m. Monday. I think I have my numbers right because it's all electronic. There's no sending in this little ballot, and it had to be postmarked by a certain time in the old days. I remember quite a few times I had to send mine by FedEx because I'd wait till the last second, which is when it is. But what Ryan was talking about there too is Will Howard might have won it last year if it had been at the end of the whole college football season, which is, by the way, the national championship game. But just like the MVP award in the NFL, I think that voting is done before, maybe I'm wrong, is done before the Super Bowl is done after the regular season, isn't it? Isn't it based on your regular season? But the reason they did it with the Heisman was bowl games back in the day were just a bonus.
Yeah.
And if you got to go to one, great. And everybody tried to get to a bowl game when there were only like 5 or 6, right. And then it became 8 or 10, and then it got huge. But it was mainly so that every player is eligible to be voted the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yep.
And it was to not give somebody an extra couple of games to separate themselves from everybody else, because everybody's in a lot of respects, people are knee-jerk reactionaries to what they just saw a while ago, right?
True.
But the fallacy of that now is there are so many bowl games, almost any team that's worth a darn
gets one.
This isn't like Notre Dame when Paul Hornung won it that year and they went, 2-7 or something. Yeah. I mean, you're not even going to be considered if you're on a team like that. And that's probably apropos because what are you doing as a player to make your team exceptional is the way I look at it. That's why I did I voted for Ashton Jeanty last year, number 1, instead of Travis Hunter. I don't regret it because I thought Ashton Jeanty elevated Boise State.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter played great for Colorado, but to say they were a great team by any stretch was not the case. So that's how I justified it. I mean, I remember voting for Vince Young in 2005 and felt good about it, but he didn't win. I think it was Reggie Bush won it or Matt Leinart. I get those two mixed up for those guys, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I voted. I got a vote, somebody bowing out, and I voted for 2 years, and then I gave it up because I thought I retired. And so I wish I had a vote this year, but I do not. But yeah, it's kind of an honor, and I think they dole it out to people who cover a heck of a lot of college football.
Well, here's the thing.
They can see it.
We're going to talk about that more next week.
Okay.
Before the thing, but I do want to talk about the fact of, just like in the college football playoff committee that votes on who the top 25 teams are, and take the top 12 and or whatever the setup is, whether a James Madison or a Duke has to be figured into the thing this year. But the bottom line is, I watch a lot of football. I go to all the Ohio State games, but I video a bunch of games, record. I watch highlights like you wouldn't believe. I really love football. I get on YouTube and watch the sped up games, especially in the Big Ten, but all over the country, and I told you, I got to see Ty Simpson play live. He's a good quarterback, but he's not on Julian Saban's level.
Yeah.
This year, neither's he's not on Fernando Mendoza's level either, in my opinion. Ty Simpson, the quarterback at Alabama, he was running pretty hot in the Heisman race, but only because he was Alabama and they were making a comeback after getting beat by Florida State.
You don't think you don't think Mendoza's on Saban's level?
I think Mendoza and Saban are two extremely good quarterbacks who have helped elevate their teams. And I don't know how else you judge it. I mean, we can talk about, well, look at his skill level. Look how he makes, the running back. Look how he makes cuts here and stuff, Yeah, but is he elevating his team? Is he doing something exceptional? What did you just read to me a while ago when we were talking about Julian saying, what was that rejoinder at the end in history?
Oh, in FBS,
whenever you see something that says in history, that's remarkable, whether it's for 1 year or 4 years.
Sure.
So, they both deserve it. And Mendoza, what a spokesman. Ryan Day even talked about that earlier this week about he's just a well-spoken guy. I mean, it seems like he extemporaneously, it appears that he has already written his answer down and memorized it before he's ever asked a question, which is remarkable.
It's flawless.
Yeah.
It really is.
And there aren't a lot of people in the world. I'm definitely not one of them. But the bottom line is you got to give it up to him and what he's done. And since he moved from California to this platform, this theater, he stepped up to the front of the stage, man. And he could be a front man on any football team, rock group, etc.
Take the biggest bow. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But that's all coming. That's all coming next week. Speaking of awards, though, there's Clay. I mean, Big Ten's over these 2 days is naming its postseason awards, and Ohio State, they named the defensive award winners today, and also all conference teams. And Ohio State's well represented. Caleb Downs was named the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten. That's the Nagurski-Woodson Award. He was also named the Defensive Back of the Year. That's the Tatum-Woodson Award. Talk about guys who took you to the woodshed, and should be Woodshed-Woodson and Woodshed Tatum, as we all know. And then the Defensive Lineman of the Year, the Smith-Brown Award, is Caden McDonald. Extremely well-deserved.
I agree.
Playing as well, if not better than any other defensive lineman in the country, in my opinion, right now. Interior defensive lineman. I don't know if you agree. Do you agree?
Yeah,
And the Butkus Fitzgerald Linebacker of the Year Award, Arvell Reese.
I agree.
Wow. You talk about the guy that came from, is he going to be a defensive end or a linebacker type, to this year blossoming in the Matt Patricia garden, right? Oh, my goodness. did he bring as he brought out the best in Arvell Reese. He's the Butkus Fitzgerald Linebacker of the Year award winner. We'll see where he ends up in the Butkus Award voting, et cetera. And then of course, all Big Ten first team on the coaches team. The coaches vote on it from Ohio State are Caden McDonald, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles,
thank you,
and Caleb Downs. And the media voted Caden McDonald, Caden Curry, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, and Davidson Igbenosin.
IGB got in there.
Yeah. Tell you what, Jermaine Matthews could have fit in that thing too, man.
Yeah, he could.
If he'd have just taken his helmet off one of those times and run down the field with it. That's pretty funny because you knew a penalty was coming, because that's been a penalty to take your helmet off on the field since Joey Galloway was around, and he made it famous
for a long time.
And then I called him after they passed that rule going into, I think, his senior year. What they're calling it the Joey Galloway rule, and he said he had no comment about it because he was pretty upset, because how else do football players get their face shown? In the old days, except with your helmet off. Basketball, you're running around in your underwear, for goodness sakes. Everybody knows everything about you. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And but it just goes to show, man.
Good for Caden Curry. And like you said, Caden has just been dominant.
And good for Matt Patricia and his defensive coaching group. I mean, Tim Walton.
Yeah.
Right? Matt Guerreri, the safeties coach.
Yeah.
He and Tim Walton basically worked together on the secondary back there. And Tim Walton's a co-defensive coordinator. And then, of course, James Laurinaitis. James Laurinaitis, he has everything going for him in terms of pursuit of a head coaching job himself down the road.
Sure.
His personality, as Ryan Day was talking about him today, that time he was even in the media, with Bo Bishop and stuff.
Yes.
And Big Ten Network. That helped him immensely.
Right.
He was always a good quote, but it helped him really stack words on top of words and get his message across.
Get it from here.
Because coaching is 99.8%, 99.8% teaching, and it's 31.6% personality. No, but
that don't add up.
That don't add up, man. You better check your abacus there.
Well, maybe that's just because he's exceptional.
But he is. And then, of course, Larry Johnson. Right. What's to be said about Larry Johnson? People trying to run him off the last couple of years. Some people in the local media trying to say he's run his course, needs to be run off, et cetera. And you're kind of going, Caden McDonald, defensive lineman of the year.
Caden Curry.
Kenyatta Jackson played. Kenyatta Jackson chased Bryce Underwood and then chased the play like a tax collector last week.
Never gave up on it.
Dude, unbelievable. He got a little bit, I don't know if picked on's the right word. I don't think they had the right defense called a couple of times early when they got a little bit gashed. Right. But after they tightened that little hatch.
Yeah, the one play.
Boy, there was very little leakage on that boat. That was like Noah's Ark from then on, man. They were floating, floating high. But anyway.
Good show, brother.
But let's go back to one more thing that Ryan had to say.
Okay.
Today. Regarding the fact that when you're damn good, people are going to poach.
That's it.
People are going to come in. They're going to try to get some of your players. Yeah. They're going to try to get some of your coaches. Ryan had opportunities to go other places when he first showed up at Ohio State. He was coming from other places, and more specifically at that time, the San Francisco 49ers. But let's get to what he had to say just about that. I think it was Jeremy Birmingham who was asking him that you have to kind of be able to, at this time of the year, the most critical time of the year, you're playing for a championship. Mm-hmm. You're now basically playing for two championships. One's to win the Big Ten on Saturday night. The other is to put yourself in even better position to win the national championship for the second straight year. And yet you got guys, your offensive coordinator is now headed to South Florida as the new head coach, but he's going to coach through it, right? But there will be distractions along the way, no matter how great a man you are. There will be distractions in there because Brian Hartline's not only got to recruit, he's got to hire staff. So let's see what Ryan had to say about it. It's pretty interesting.
Well, I say this, and Coach Meyer, Coach Tressel said this to me, when I took the job. This job is bigger than any one person, and so Ohio State's been good for a long time. Will continue to be good moving forward. So, while there always will be these situations, for whatever reason, good or bad, we all aim for them to be good, that when we're doing well, people have opportunities. And that's part of it. And I think, these recruits understand that. So when they come in, the relationships matter, but they also want to see the stability of a program, that when they send their sons somewhere, they're going to be surrounded with the best. And that's my job. So my job is to surround these players with the best there possibly can be. And you've heard me say this before. I mean, if you are an O-line coach, it should be O-line you. If you're a linebacker coach, it should be linebacker you. And it's my job as the head coach to make sure that we're hiring guys and bringing guys in here to be the best.
Yeah. And that's what he's going to be doing now, replacing Brian Hartline. And like you said, as we record this, Chris Henry is out there on a limb. I mean, he hasn't signed with Ohio State, the highly celebrated wide receiver. He hasn't signed with Ohio State, even though he's been committed to Ohio State for a long time, because he wants to hear how are things going to be changing. I mean, it's kind of hard to say who your wide receiver coach is going to be at Ohio State. Basically 5 hours after Brian Hartline took that job, but you do want to have that sense of stability that you're going to be coached by somebody who knows what they're doing right on down the line. And I think Brian Hartline, Ryan Day, for the most part, has proven he's going to bring in a quality individual. Has he made a couple of mistakes maybe in hiring in his 7 years at Ohio State, maybe one or two, but he corrected those. And this is as good a staff right now, because Brian Hartline hasn't left yet, as there is in the country.
Yeah, nothing new on Chris.
Yeah.
As he's going to, I'm sure, take a day to maybe mull it over.
Yeah, mull it over,
and
take phone calls, see what other people have to say.
And see what Ryan Day has to say after he gets clear of that Big Ten title game.
There you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tim May. That's Clay Hall. This has been the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, which makes sense as we're both sitting here. And until Friday, when our new one drops, I'm not sure what time of the day it's going to drop, but that puppy's going to drop. We'll see you then.